Delivered all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the show. Curtis Wilkerson here, joined by Andrew Ellis. And before we get started, a couple important PSAs. One, John Calipari ain't dead. Don't write that man off just yet. Two, this is officially a John L. Davis Stan account, so react accordingly, everybody. Y'all thought they were going to make it easy on you in Austin? Or you think Arkansas was just going to run in there and win this thing by 35? Heck no. But I tell you what, Arkansas took control. They weathered the storm. They overcame some officiating, and man, they stole a road win at Texas, 78-70, just to complete a massive road swing, back-to-back quad one wins, two of the biggest wins on the resume to get them right back in the NCAA tournament conversation. Andrew, there is never a bad day to beat a Longhorn. My question to you is, have you ever spanked a steer? Because those guys on the floor in Austin just did that, and I know it had to feel good, man.
It certainly had to. It felt good on our end. I can't speak for the players themselves, but it felt good for us. Winning on the road is not as easy as Arkansas made it look in Lexington. It's tough. You got to dig deep. You got to weather storms. You got to face adversity. You got to face a team that when they get down big is going to storm back. They don't normally just roll over and let you pet their belly the way that Kentucky did for Arkansas on Saturday night. You usually get that like dog to come out of the team and they storm back. And we've seen this Texas team, you reminded me at halftime, which I was getting a little confident. Hey, this team came back from down, 20 or whatever it was against A&M. They came back down and made it a close game against Auburn. Like they do this, they push at the end of games, and Arkansas had to weather that. But what we've seen in both of these road games the last 2 games is Arkansas has a team that everyone is kind of excelling in their role now, and everyone knows what their role is. And it took them a while to get to this point. It took a lot of things happening, a lot of disappointment stretches for a lot of these guys, but everyone, you just look up and down the court, Arkansas is getting what they need from everyone. And I felt like in this game, it started up front. Big Z and Trevin Brazil, as soon as he came into the game, which is about 3 minutes in, because the dude Thiero was feeling under the weather. Arkansas didn't know how much they were going to get from him. Turned out a lot. But I thought Arkansas's defense was really good around the rim. Right after Big Z got dunked on by Kaluma in the first 2 minutes of the game. From that point on, that first half, Texas didn't get any good looks near the rim. They were contesting everything. They were rebounding well. The guards, I thought, all did a great job on the perimeter. Knox, Wagner, and Nelly. Texas isn't a team that turns it over a ton. Arkansas was able to force, I believe, 9 in the first half. Get out and run, get out and get in transition, get some easy buckets, help set up their offense a good bit. They knocked down a few shots in the second half, and that was kind of all it needed to weather the storm. I mean, Texas went 6-7 minutes without scoring. That's big-time defense. It wasn't as pretty as it was Saturday, but it feels just as good for the Hogs.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And, coming into the game, one of the things we wondered about was, how much juice would Arkansas have? Would they get hit with that emotional letdown, which is a natural thing after you go to Lexington and have a big road win like Arkansas did, especially after just last night, we saw exactly that from Kentucky. So coming into it, I'm like, oh man, I don't know. It doesn't sound like it was a crazy atmosphere in there either. So for Arkansas to come out the way that it did, with a lot of energy, a lot of focus, man, that was really good to see. They looked great in the first half. They shut the water off in Austin, man, in the first half of that game. The defense was nasty, held them to 24 points. That was a season low for a first half for Texas, 36% shooting. And then a Texas team that doesn't turn it over much at all. One of the best in the country in terms of their turnover percentage. You turned them over 8 times in the first half. So was really impressed with Arkansas able to get out there, build up a double-digit lead. And then in the second half, they got that thing up over 20 right away, and they needed every single bit of it because the writing was on the wall when you weren't even to the under 16 timeout and Texas was already in the bonus. And listen, I hate doing the officiating thing, but Arkansas shot, 18-3 free throws in the first half in favor of Arkansas. You knew it was coming. You knew there was going to be a correction there. I didn't think it was going to be that blatant and that obvious. But it was, and yeah, Arkansas fouled sometimes. There were some silly ones down the stretch where Carter Knox fouled 90 feet away from the basket. You didn't need that one. Nelly Davis trying to gamble when you're up 10 with 2 minutes left. You didn't need that one. But then Trey Johnson's getting the superstar treatment. Kaluma just going in there reckless, getting every whistle, some phantom calls. And I'm like, oh, buddy, you know what's coming here. They successfully did their job, the home officials, of allowing Texas to regain some momentum and start feeling themselves. And that was the recipe, man, because like you mentioned, yes, Texas has done that before. They came back. I think they were down 22 against A&M. They were down 14, I think, with 6 minutes left, and wound up winning that game a couple weeks ago. And then earlier in SEC play, they were down at least 18 in the second half. And they were within a one possession game against Auburn by the end of that. So they're good for it, man. And Arkansas was able to weather that storm, hold them off. You had that scoring out there, and you're like, dude, I mean, what are we doing here? What's going on? And then you just get some big time timely baskets. I know Thero had a huge dunk in there at one point. DJ Wagner was able to get downhill, and then they were pretty good from the free throw line there down the stretch. Despite everything that happened officiating wise, Andrew, in the second half, Arkansas winds up going 27 of 35 from the free throw line on the road, and Texas was 20 of 27, even though you got called for 18 fouls in the second half.
Yeah, the whole time that Texas is coming back and you're starting to kind of look at the clock, look at the score, you're starting to do the math in your head, and you're like, okay, if Arkansas makes a 3, then that would make it a what? You're starting to do the formula of like, what's it going to take for them to get back in this game? And for Arkansas, they had built themselves such a good lead. I mean, when you go 7 minutes without scoring, you really have to take advantage. And Arkansas did. I mean, I don't remember how much they ended up getting up by. What was it, 21 or whatever? Like that really is a cushion. And it felt like you just felt, okay, Arkansas just needs one shot and they'll be in a good spot. Nelly Davis was the guy that would take and make that shot more often than not. And then, like you said, down the stretch, I thought Arkansas did a really good job of making their free throws and kind of weathering that storm. I felt like Arkansas didn't panic. They do. Hey, if we just don't give them a ton of live ball turnovers, we don't put them back in this game, we're in control. We're in the driver's seat. And so kind of kept them within striking distance. I thought it was really important. I don't remember what the halftime score here. Arkansas was up by 11. So it's like trending in a good direction. The first 4 minutes are always key. Arkansas was able to really build on that. And I feel like that was kind of the stretch. They took that initial punch because you knew when you're down by 10 at home, you're going to come out in that second half crazy. And Arkansas was not only able to weather that, but really win the game right there. And so I felt like from there, Arkansas was playing with so much confidence, so much freedom. You just knew as long as they didn't do anything stupid, they were going to be in good shape.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And it's, isn't it a little bit refreshing to see Arkansas navigate down the stretch of a game on the road with a lead, running multiple different press breakers and not turning it over or wasting a bunch of timeouts trying to inbound the freaking basketball. That was the Eric Musselman special, man, for 5 years. He did a lot of great things as a coach, and he did some really good X's and O's things. Press breakers wasn't one of them, man. And so it was nice to see Arkansas do some different things there. And you had different guys who wound up touching the basketball where under normal circumstances, I'd kind of be like, oh, Billy, I don't know, man. Just different guys there. The freshman, Carter Knox, but they all handled that situation really, really well, poised and clutched down the stretch. That was awesome. That's it. This is a huge, huge win for Arkansas, man. Right back in the thick of things in the conversation, and it sets the stage for what's going to be an awesome, awesome environment at Bud Walton Arena on Saturday. Man, we got a lot to get to. We're going to get to everybody's chats. We're trying to get, after we really hurt some feelings a couple of games ago, we're trying to get to the chats a little bit quicker because this is a reaction show, right? And I know everybody's excited. A few things to point out, like Trey Johnson comes in, he's leading the SEC in scoring at 19 points per game. He goes for 25, but he did it on 6 of 22 shooting. He got to the free throw line a dozen times, 6 of 22 shooting. They did a good job on Trey Johnson. I was impressed. And for a lot of the game, man, like Nelly Davis, I know those two were going back and forth at each other for a while there, but it was a lot of freshman on freshman action. Like Carter and Billy Richmond got a lot of that assignment, and I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, I thought Carter in particular, again, the thing with Carter, we always say when he's where he needs to be, he's a good defender. He's got the length. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism to really bother really anybody. And it was cool to see them, like you said, go mano a mano a little bit. Like, what better way to get experience than guarding a guy like that one-on-one? Again, you continue to kind of see the makings of what Carter can be. I thought both DJ and John L. did a really good job of just pressuring the ball anytime Texas was trying to get it up court. They were never really able to get a consistent flow. And again, I thought Big Z and Trevin were really good around the rim. So you could tell early on, it was like, hey, Arkansas Arkansas's just going to allow Texas to settle for jumpers. And Texas, if they were going to win this game, was just going to have to make tough shots, which you see teams like Kentucky do. You see teams, I mean, like Arkansas even did the other night. And Texas it was a formula that they couldn't do it consistently enough, shooting a ton of tough contested twos and some threes as well. I just thought Arkansas did a really good job. You just looked on both ends of the court. It felt like Arkansas did a much better job of getting the shots they wanted. And like you mentioned, against different looks, against man-to-man, against some zone for a time or two. I mean, against the zone, it was basically, let's get Edu Thero the ball at the top of the key and let him run straight into the defense and get fouled. That's kind of how Arkansas got their points in the first half. But it felt like Arkansas had answers for everything Texas threw at them. And like you said, Arkansas made it tough for Texas to do anything offensively. So even by the time they started knocking down some shots, getting some momentum, getting the crowd into the game, it was a little bit too late.
Yeah, for sure. A few other things that stood out. The question was asked as to whether or not Tremont Mark would be super motivated to play his former team. I don't know if he was or not, but he didn't do a damn thing. Scoreless for Team Mark, man. No points, only played 21 minutes. He was in foul trouble the entire game. Right away, something that really stood out to me about Team Mark was how aggressive and physical he was being defensively. I was like, hey, guy, where was that last year? We weren't getting that last year, man. He was all super, super handsy with John L. Davis. They finally whistled him for it, but he was in foul trouble. He never got going. Only got 2 shots off in the game, and you held him scoreless. That was key to the operation. Zvonimir Ivisic had 12 rebounds. And listen, we've talked about, his adventures when it comes to securing boards. That was really, really good to see. And every single one of them was a defensive rebound. He didn't have a single offensive rebound, a dozen defensive rebounds in this game. He got dunked on a couple times there. The first one, the reverse by Kaluma, that's just, that's an elite move, man. The other one, Shedrick put it over the top of his head there. When you're 7'2" and you're the last line of defense and the rim protector, you're going to get dunked on sometimes. He also had 4 blocks and altered several other shots there. I thought he was really good for Arkansas in this game. Nelly Davis, I mean, hello. I mean, welcome, bro. Like this is exactly what we expected to get the entire season. And for whatever reason, it's clicking now. And there's a lot of different theories that I'm sure we'll get into here in the chat. But it's just good to see. And he looks like a completely different player, so much more comfortable with the ball in his hands. He's not scared to put it on the floor. He's making better decisions when he gets into the paint. And it's just impressive, man. 4 threes in the second half, season high 24 points. He was efficient again. But what I love the most, he is absolute menace defensively. He gets 4 steals in this basketball game. And it was outside of that, deflection after deflection after deflection. He looked, I hate to say this. No, I don't. He looked like sophomore year Devo Davis as a defender out there. I mean, he was really, really impacting things on that end of the floor. Huge, very critical, very good development for Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like a guy that you run your offense through, which that's what Arkansas has been doing here lately. And I think DJ's done a really good job of kind of accepting that and knowing, hey, if we're going to get this thing going, we got to get this guy going. Offensively, you can tell. I mean, it just everything kind of revolves around him. And whether it's just a quick touch, and he's not, again, not like they're just passing it to him and saying, hey, clear out, do what you got to do. They're getting him off of screens. They're getting him in the little floppy action. He's cutting back door, whatever it is. And he's making good decisions with the ball in his hand. And I just feel like this unit overall, they just kind of understand when it's everyone's time to go to certain guys. And you mentioned the defense. I think that was the first bucket he had, was that transition dunk, which we've joked about Nelly's transition offense and how it's kind of the one missing ingredient. And you still saw a little bit of it. He did dribble it off his knee at one point, but he created so many transition opportunities, and that's against the Texas team that is they're kind of next to Arkansas, down there near the bottom of the entire country in turnovers. So it's like, I thought early on, and we kind of knew, you're not going to just turn them over 8 times again in the second half. I think they only turned it over twice. But I think Arkansas being able to kind of get in rhythm, start playing confident early. Just the way he was grabbing at some of those balls defensively, like that's something you don't do if you're just not playing with confidence. And some of the shots he took, the transition threes, some deep threes as soon as it touches his hands, he had a very good understanding of what he wanted to get done on this game on both ends of the court. He's really fun to watch, man. And it's the guy like you said, we've been waiting for. And it's the guy that we knew Arkansas was going to need if this season was going to have any type of a positive ending to it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And by the way, we're getting ready to get into the chat here in a couple of minutes. It's electric. I mean, we got some really good stuff in here tonight that I'm excited to get to. One other thing I wanted to point out and talk about before we get, well, actually, let me get into a couple stats first. We were wondering about the carryover offensively for Arkansas because they were so good at Kentucky. And we already kind of knew that Kentucky was bad defensively. Then you saw what happened at Ole Miss to them, and you're like, maybe they're just historically bad defensively. I thought Arkansas was pretty sharp on that end of the floor. The ball movement was equally good. The purpose offensively was equally good. Really poised. It didn't get stagnant. I thought they executed really well in this game. Only turned it over 9 times. That continues to be a good thing for Arkansas. Did they shoot at 55%? No. But did they shoot at 35% like they were before? No. Nice middle ground right there. 44% from the field. You can live with that on the road. Only attempted 17 threes. They really didn't have to take any more than that, but you knocked down 7 of them, man. So 41% from 3, and then cashing in at the line. Was pretty impressed with what Arkansas was able to do there in a game where, let me see, points in the paint, they lost 26-30. Okay, fast break points is what I was looking for. Only 9 fast break points. It's like it wasn't like they were out on the run super, super often, but that was good stuff from Arkansas, especially when you think about, like, Boogie's out. Okay, so you're down an 8-man rotation. Thero is sick, so he plays 22 minutes instead of 32 or more, which is what he would normally play. And then Adu only plays 4 minutes when he's been playing like 10 for you. Although shout out to him for having just a nice little bucket in there, man.
Looked like the dream, Olajuwon, man.
I mean, come on now. You love to see it. Yeah. And so that's still something that looms. Like Arkansas, they're going to have to find something from Adu. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the next day. Okay. But for them to basically be playing with 6.5 guys. Billy Richmond only played 9 minutes, but that's because he can't stay out of foul trouble. But a super short rotation. They really did this with about 6 guys on the road, man. That's a gutsy win. I tell you what, man. It's frustrating when you think about where Arkansas is at, how they got to this point. You think about some of those losses at home. You think about LSU on the road and just missed opportunities. When it got to 1-6, what we were saying about like NCAA tournament chances is like, no, like they're not mathematically eliminated. It's just going to have to be something unprecedented. They're not taking advantage of the opportunities in front of them. They're going to have to beat some teams they're not supposed to get back on the right side of this thing. And they have essentially successfully done that in the course of about 4 days with 2 massive road wins that I don't think anybody really expected them to go get.
Agreed. And I'm glad that you brought that up because I kept saying, I was like, look, it's not mathematically over. It's just hard to imagine the road forward, especially with just how this team was playing and how they looked. Like after the LSU game, again, you could kind of look at the schedule and say, all right, well, they technically could beat these teams, but we had no evidence at that point to suggest that this Arkansas team was capable of doing that. Now, these last couple games, like this version of the team, you can talk me into a lot more. It's a lot easier to let my imagination run free. And for this Arkansas team now, in terms of NCAA tournament, I don't want to get ahead of myself, Curtis. It's not like they even have to do anything that crazy at that point. Like you said, they got some of the hard stuff out of the way by beating 2 teams you were literally not favored to beat, one of which you get to play at home later this year. You also get to play that LSU team that beat you later at home this year. And so you start doing the math, and it's like, I think someone in the chat said the ESPN, their metrics gave Arkansas now if they win a 52% chance to make the NCAA tournament. That checks out in my brain. I'm sure that number's just completely made up. I don't know what computer came up with it. But if you just look at the schedule and you start doing the math, this Arkansas team's right there. We'll see where they end up, whether they're last 4 in or first 4 in or first 4 out or whatever it is. But I think, again, they were next 4 out to start this game. You would imagine they're going to jump up at least 1 line. And then, of course, you've got another massive opportunity on Saturday. But again, I really just feel like when you look at this team as it's constructed now, it's a lot more equipped to maybe have some of these conversations. And is depth overrated?
I mean, it might be. You know, Kyle, they say all along that really once you get into the heart of conference play, you only need 7 to 8 guys anyway. We always knew that was going to be the case. So, I mean.
Well, I will say, if you're going to rely on 7 guys and 2 of them are freshmen, you need them to be cool. And Arkansas's freshmen are cool today, man. They do not look like freshmen that you got to worry about on the road. Not like either of those guys put up like crazy gaudy stat lines. But like you said, the ball's in their hands down the stretch. Billy and Carter Knox both had to get the ball, had to make clutch free throws. I felt like both those guys kind of showed up and were ready to give what the team needed, which in tonight's game wasn't a ton. But I feel pretty good about the way both of those guys have performed on these big stages, which is always a question when you're on the road. How are my 18-year-olds who are kind of shaken, never been in this atmosphere before? They look like they belong out there, which, again, I don't think was the case 2 weeks ago.
Right. I cannot wait to get into the press conference stuff. I just have a feeling that John Calipari is going to be in his bag.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Let's get into the chat, and we'll start with the super chats, and then we'll work our way through. Is this real life?
I don't know what you're looking at.
Whoever Mark Arnold.
What? Whoa! I did not see. I was not looking at that. Holy cow!
Mark Arnold.
I think that might be a typo because he didn't put a message.
I think it might be a typo. If it is, please DM us. My goodness. Entirely unnecessary, but so much appreciated. That is
wow.
That is wild. Thank you. I don't even know what else to say. Like, thank you very much.
That's awesome.
Appreciate it.
I really hope that he did at least mean to send that and then was going to type out a message. And I hope we're not burying his message in the chat because there's obviously a lot coming in and it doesn't highlight it for us if it's not a super chat. So I hope he didn't chime in and say whatever. I hope we're not missing that. But thank you, Mark. You're the man. And look, this is what happens when you win on the road.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, seriously, that's unbelievable. Incredible stuff. And I guess we should thank the Razorbacks. Someone tells me that wouldn't happen if the Hogs wouldn't have taken care of business tonight. Mark's in a good mood. You're the man. You get a sponsored segment too. Just name your what do you want?
Logan, you gonna take that, bro? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. This guy's coming here trying to big time you. Seriously, much appreciated. Everybody, from $1.99 to this, absurdity. We really do appreciate it, and it definitely helps. And it does go towards allowing us to be able to travel, and go to some of these things, do what we just did in Lexington and everything. So, man, that's amazing. Major shout outs, major props, and we'll probably run back to this by the end of the show. And thank you again.
Maybe he heard about John's luggage situation and was like, you know what? I can tell you guys are going through it, man. John Neighbors is someone who definitely deserves that because he's going through it, man, and it's through no fault of his own.
It's tough stuff for him. Tough stuff. JP Sullivan, I've been looking forward to this one since I felt confident Arkansas was going to win this game. He's doing the turkey strut of the hog. It can be seen all the way from Austin to Fayetteville. Baby woo damn pig, fellas. Time to pack out Bud. JP, we appreciate you, and I cannot wait. I'm already buzzing thinking about this game Saturday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun atmosphere.
It's going to be one of those at Bud Walton, man. And I'm excited for it because we haven't seen it in a while, but I'm excited for Cal and for the players who were probably like some of those guys, were probably like, oh yeah, I remember Arkansas. Yeah, they got a good atmosphere over there. And, I'm sure Cal was saying, oh, listen, Bud Walton, no, it was one of the toughest places I always had to play. And, we've talked about it a lot, but it's going to be crazy. Vintage Bud coming on Saturday, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. And I bet that has to be in the back of Cal's mind where he's like, I remember what it was like when the whole crowd is into it, when you have the whole state rallying behind it. And look, there's no shame, and you can't produce that every Saturday or every game, of course, especially throughout non-conference. But you want to know you still have it. You know what they say, Curtis? If you don't use it, you lose it. And we got to make sure that this Arkansas crowd, this Bud Walton Arena, even though they're trying to price everyone out of the arena, maybe one last hoorah, folks. One last funny, cool bit where we beat a top 5 team unexpectedly. Let's run that play before they price all of us out of the building.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Seriously. From Seth Strackbean, we appreciate it, brother. He says, "Fluke, what fluke? Absolutely love this team, showing that what they can do. Texas was dominated. They were. The final score was not, I don't think, indicative of the belt to booty that Arkansas put out in this one. He says sellout refs had to make their mark, though. That they did. Nelly is him. That he is. Theo is a robot. He's something." And Woo Pig Suey Tremont Mark with a goose egg. Bud better be popping. Are people back in on this team?
Seth said he loves the Hogs. I got to be honest. Tonight was really, I've been excited for a lot of the games. Like I usually, more often than not, even if they stink, even in that rough stretch, I was still looking forward to the game. I was still counting down the minutes. But I found myself today at like about 6:30. I was like, I'm just excited to watch this team play, man. And I really, even going into Kentucky, obviously we were excited for the atmosphere. We were bracing for impact a little bit. We always kind of had that kind of woe is me mentality. I was really just tonight ready to go to war, and it was really good.
Yeah,
I like
this
that.
was fun. Yeah, needed it. Trey Langston says horns down, Nelly, MF, and Davis. Yeah, I mean,
that agreed on both counts.
Listen, great stuff from Nelly. I kind of like going on the road, having these big games. He had the thing on the bench towards the end of the Kentucky game, and I noticed there late in this one, Trey Johnson. It was like this always happens on those baseline underneath where guys are it's kind of jockeying for position or whatever, holding each other, or whatever, and Trey Johnson like slapped his hands down, and Nelly got in his face. I like that. He's taking it personally, man, and it's good to see.
It's a lot easier to show some of that emotion, show some of that personality when you're playing good basketball, and you start to really see what some of these guys are all about. And I think for a while, a lot of these guys, pretty much everyone on the team except for Adu Thero, was kind of not playing with a ton of confidence, not playing with that swagger. And it's cool to see it come out for a lot of these guys. And we've talked about it a lot with someone like Carter Knox. I think that's what makes these fans really fall in love with these guys, getting to see them on their best days. And then you kind of see the vision of what they can become. These last 2-3 games have been pretty much, like you said, exactly what we expected from Nelly. And it's fun to feel vindicated.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. We got a couple back-to-backs here from our friend Jordan Bean. Thank you. He says, UK fan here, built a lead and kept it. Respect. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. And he said, might make the tournament. Lucky the SEC is so good, to be honest. And you're right, because like if Arkansas is 3-6 right now in the ACC, for example, they'd be screwed. But every game just represents a great opportunity to boost the resume. And you're still in that position where you can lose 1 or 2 and it doesn't kill you. So not a bad situation that Arkansas finds itself in, all things considered. You got off to the worst start in program history in SEC play, and here you are with 9 regular season games left, and you're in position to potentially make the tournament, man. So not bad.
I think a lot of the people who, yesterday, or was either yesterday or Monday when our show was titled Inside Arkansas, it was titled, Is Arkansas Back on the Bubble? I think a lot of people were taken back by it. Because they're like, you're 2-6 in the SEC. How are you even close to the bubble? But we've kind of said all along, 8-10 almost certainly get you in the tournament. And I'm not saying that's where you should, shoot for the moon and you'll land among the stars. But we felt like that was kind of like, if you get to 8-10, you're pretty solid. 7-11 is going to have you in that range here. And so again, we use that term mathematically eliminated. It's going to take a lot of losses for Arkansas to really be mathematically eliminated to where they would need to win the SEC tournament to make the tournament.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure. Karmaduke is, like
crushing it
for a while here when we started encouraging people like, hey, just kind of hop in the chat in the comments during the game and do this. And somebody was asking about watch party stuff. We're going to do some more of that. We like to be on location somewhere when we do it. But especially now that the interest is really drummed back up on some of these road games coming up. Obviously, me and John are going to be at Auburn, but we'll see what we can't work out and do that so we can all hang out together. But Karmaduke's been in there with our man Phil, in some of these during the game chats. But he says a couple double pours of Kentucky tears. Have my typing thumbs loose tonight, boys. Don't let them hogs get hot. Woo pigs. Screw the SEC refs. Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend.
I tell you, these last 2 games, especially with the officiating tonight and just the everything on Saturday, Arkansas is getting that us against the world mentality. It feels good to see the fan base uniting again.
Gotta love it, man. You gotta love it.
We don't have to rely on BBN to give the juice.
I mean, I appreciate you guys or whatever, but sheesh, man. Exclusive Carts is back.
Golf carts.
Thank you very much. Very generous. And, we apologize for not knowing exactly what type of cart you were talking about on Saturday. But now that we do, I just feel like we got to promote you,
I know. I really want a golf cart.
I want a golf cart too. I really do. I go drive around campus right now. I'm just right down the road if I had one. But sincerely, thank you. We really do appreciate it a ton, man. More than you guys know. Says Bud should be loud against Bama. Mama, there goes that man again. Whoa, Nelly. Mark got shut down.
Nelly is right.
Yeah, and Mark got shut down. Indeed, it's a beautiful thing. A lot went right in these last couple games here, man. It feels good,
Sure does.
Shark and Saw, thank you, buddy. Says who was there? I think maybe, says disappointed that it took
Yeah, he
Boogie
was.
going down to realize Nelly belongs at the 2, but if they keep building on this, they can be dangerous. Yeah, I agree, man, and that was kind of the argument that I feel like we were trying to make early in the season during Nelly's struggles was you just got to get him out of the corner, man. Like, you've just got him parked there. And yeah, he can knock down catch and shoot threes or whatever, but when he's within the flow of the game and, just in position where he can make plays off the bounce, he's got it in his hands more. That doesn't mean he has to be completely ball dominant or on the thing all the time, but he's got to be more involved. And we're seeing the fruits of that labor now. It's, I'm with you, man. Like, it does suck that it took that to kind of force the issue a little bit, but hey, if you reap the rewards for it the rest of the way, then it is what it is. Blessing in disguise. I don't know.
And you could also argue there's another part of this equation. There's the Boogie equation and the Nelly equation. DJ Wagner used to be the floppy guy. He used to be the run 8 miles. He's running around in circles and they're getting it to him. I think he's better in this point guard role. And I think Nelly is better in that role. And so it just kind of worked out a little bit better for both guys. And not that DJ has necessarily, like today, I was he 4 of 13 or whatever. He missed some shots. But again, we've kind of said that all along since Boogie left, that we just like the shots that both of those guys, Davis and Wagner, are getting. And I think both of them have kind of risen to the occasion, knowing they need to step up with Boogie out. But I also think they're just thriving in their new roles for sure.
No doubt. Brian LG, thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. Says Nelly freaking Davis. This makes me happy.
I know this does.
Because I've openly voiced my just sadness at some of the crap he was catching. I understood a lot of it, man, but I don't know, for whatever reason, it got to me, man, because this is why, because I just knew that there's a good basketball player in there. And I didn't want it to just completely shatter his confidence to where he folded entirely. But it's good to see people having the reason, one, to start believing and then really throwing their support behind him once he's rolling here.
It felt personal for a while there. Like, I get, again, you have high expectations. We all thought Nelly was going to be better early in the year. We were surprised by how poorly it went. So I get the frustration, but it definitely felt like a really like pointed attack and like very personal, where I'm like, it almost felt, I'm like, do y'all even want him to play well? It felt like people liked being right about hating him more than they wanted to see Arkansas do well and see him do well. So it's good to see him shutting some people up and also getting some people in his corner.
Yeah, no, for sure. Casey, thank you, Casey. Says Curtis Gritty for $100. Well, here's the thing. We have a current Gritty bet of you and I will both do it at Alumni Hall if John's luggage arrives by Friday. I don't think that's going to happen, but we still got to wait that out. And if it doesn't happen, then I'm willing to negotiate another bet. I'm not a stripper, Casey. Okay. Like, I don't want to be paid to dance. You know what I mean? We need like some sort of wager. We need a happening. So brainstorm on that. Like, give us some qualifications related to this basketball team or our show or whatever. And we'll set a bar and we'll make it happen. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, you don't want it to be purely transactional.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. John, listen, that's John's thing. Yeah, I mean, John is transactional. Okay, so we gotta.
Also, I hate to say it, Casey. I hate to do this, but when you have someone pop in a $500 super chat, all of a sudden 100 doesn't mean, that's not a sell your soul amount. I don't know.
Yeah. Seth, I'm glad you brought this up, and thank you again for the chat there. He says Mustache Z was a point away from getting his first SEC double-double with Arkansas. Yeah, he was. I wish he would have got that. Didn't he miss a free throw right there at the very end? Yeah, he did.
He did. Front
end, man. Yeah, come on now. I tweeted out, and I want to get your thoughts on Andrew. I think Mustache Z is better than Headband Z.
Yeah, probably. I mean, because Headband Z actually came back and had a few stinkers in the headband. Mustache Z just looks like a more confident, looks like an older, grizzled, a little bit more meat on the bones. Like, he just seems a little bit dirtier. I feel like tonight he got dirty. He got dirty on the boards. He was out there scrapping, elbowing, clawing, and fighting. And he blocked 4 shots. Like, this was his most physical game as a Razorback, you could argue.
I would say so. Somebody said, what about Mustache and Headband Z? And I just said, I don't think the world's ready for that yet.
That's just funny because he only made the 1-3. It wasn't his best offensive performance. Maybe you get Mustache and Headband. You fill the dirt with the flash. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. We got Matt Man TDK. Thank you. He says, John Calipari is 203-3 according to Grok when having a 10-point lead at any point during a game. We can breathe easier as hogs these days with leads. Wow. I have no reason to doubt Grok. So
they don't call him Crash Out Calipari. Once he gets ahead, he steps on your throat. He's got that killer instinct.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's a heck of a stat. I need to remember that so I can bring it up in some Pot at the Palaces later on here. Blue chasing blues. Thank you. Said,
I'm sorry. I meant to start and then a comment moved up. I'm sorry.
We're back. He says, man, this stinks. We supposedly won our Super Bowl and it wasn't supposed to win another game. Darn it. Yeah. I mean, those would have been the allegations. I mean, like a game that Arkansas was 6.5 point dogs in going into it. They could have lost this one by 1 and people would have been like, oh, Kentucky was a Super Bowl, right back to normal.
Yeah.
So good on
them. It's especially good because I don't know if you know this, but Kentucky absolutely got bent over last night. And so when you add in the loss with an Arkansas win, it makes it harder for Kentucky fans to yell at us the way that they had before. And I think that the reason, I don't want to take credit, Curtis. The fact that we handled it with such grace and class when we were in Lexington, you know how many people came up to us and were like, your coach sucks. Thanks for taking Coach Cal off our hands. Blah, 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 really. And we just said, it's fine. Yeah, we're all having fun here. We smiled through the pain. We didn't bark back at them. And I feel like we put that good energy out into the world and now we're getting it back.
Yeah.
I may have ruined it by calling attention to it.
Yeah, we'll see. Rufus Mallard, thank you. Appreciate you.
UK.
Says, oh yeah, okay. Says Nellie Davis appears utterly rejuvenated. That's a great word to describe it. Rejuvenated. A player reborn, exhibiting newfound assurance and uninhibited elegance. Wow.
Yeah, this dude's British as hell, bro.
Also, refs were loony moving from the UK. This is a top 10 chat of all time.
Yeah, that's he was like let's make no mistake. I am British.
Hell yeah. That was
great chat. I also remember this is the guy who went to UMass with Cal and has been following him for years. I bet Rufus has to be enjoying this Cal journey just because it's an interesting kind of final chapter for him, Yeah. Because he's seen Cal through all of the ups and downs. So I'm sure he has a little bit of appreciation. It has to make him feel good to see his guy this is a different type of journey, but it's a rewarding one.
No doubt. That's a good way to put it. God, man, that is fantastic, dude. A player reborn, exhibiting newfound assurance and uninhibited elegance. That's do you write articles?
Yeah, utterly rejuvenated.
Gosh, that's great work. Here we go again. Exclusive carts.
Which, by the way, I saw people making jokes. We determined it's definitely golf carts.
Yes.
So,
he determined that. I'm pretty sure. Gosh, man. Thank you. Like we get these, and I feel like I'm on repeat, just being like, "Thank you, I appreciate it." I'm trying to find a better ways to express the gratitude here. We might need Rufus to start writing up some one-liners for us that we can throw out there to be a little bit more elegant in us just saying, "Hey, thank you." Though seriously, it says Mark said, "Can we get more from Adu?" I got you, Mark. Is this a collection fund to get more for out of Jonas?
Yeah, he's like, I'll put $500 to the cause if Jonas Adu can just be healthier.
Yeah, and with Jonas, man, what do we think like a reasonable, like a goal, a barometer for him to get to that's going to help this team, get across the finish line here? At this point, I'm kind of thinking 12, 15 minutes and just, a pulse out there, man. Bring the rim protection that you have, be a factor there on the defensive glass. And if you score, you score. Like if they can hit him on a dump off or, they actually look for him on a pick and roll or something, fine. They were dumping it into him, letting him try to go to work a little bit today. I don't even care if they do that, but I really do think it's important that at some point here, especially if they're saying he's 100% now, and I get it, like Z's kind of emerging here, so maybe he's getting Wally pipped. I don't know, but there can still be a role for him on this team. And I think if we're talking about the evolution for Arkansas, like, can they continue to get better? How are ways that they can improve this team moving forward? I think an easy way would be for Jonas to just become a factor on the team here and actually be a part of the rotation.
I mean, look, we've been calling for more minutes from Brazil, and he played 18 minutes today. And you saw Adu was more in that. I think he finished with 4 minutes. But the other factor here is Big Z played 35 minutes. Curtis, a month ago, if I told you Big Z was going to be playing 35 minutes, you would have probably assumed that Adu was out completely and that Trevin was like picked up 3,005 minutes or something. You would expected something crazy had happened. But he's honestly just been that integral to what Arkansas has been doing. It's been hard to take him off the floor. And he doesn't foul a ton either. I think you could definitely afford to give some of those minutes to a healthy Adu if he's really able to help you. And so I think there's really room there for all three of these guys to still excel in their roles. And he's kind of, I don't know if the missing pieces, that seems a little too dramatic, but I think he's kind of that next evolution for this team of how they could realistically get better for sure. I like that.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. Zachary Hall, Arkansas Storm Tracker, was just one of my favorite follows, by the way.
Yeah, great for the crazy weather times.
Yeah, good people right here. Says, love the show, boys. Woo Pig. Hey, we appreciate you, man. And I know you're switching some things up this year, but whenever you do get out and about, be safe. That's a wild journey, man. But you help a ton of people by giving them the information that you have and being out in front of some of that stuff. You're a better man than me for sure. Angel, thank you. Angel's active, like Angel's just always around, which is probably a good thing.
Angel's one of those like strangers from the internet that like I feel like I know, and I feel like if I met him in real life, I would probably be like, oh, maybe he's a little bit different. But it's like I kind of just like what I have in my imagination, and we hear from him every day on Inside Arkansas Live. We appreciate his contributions, and this time he didn't even throw a chat. He's normally active in the chat. Exactly.
By the way, producer Michelle, who should be asleep right now, she's at Disney getting ready to work another one of those competitions. She found a Mark Arnold chat and she screenshot it and sent it to me. Mark said, beat Kentucky and Texas in the same week. Go Hogs. You guys are so good at covering the Hogs. Great job. Thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate the support and everybody rocking with us. And we try to be as entertaining as possible, for good or for bad, but it's not hard. This job is easy right now. When you go on the road and beat Kentucky and Texas, we could just kind of turn the camera on and let you guys do the show for us. So, but man, again, we really appreciate it. That's unnecessary. They all are, but when it happens, we're super, super grateful, man. So thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It feels cool to have so many people on this journey with us, as the season's getting more and more stakes to it.
Yep. Nicholas Fitz, thanks. He said, what we thinking about next weekend? I'm assuming that's this coming weekend, right?
I would assume. I mean, the Bama game in Fayetteville, that seems like the one you would.
I don't even know who the heck they play the next. It's at A&M the next weekend. They're going to win that one too. But Bama, man, I don't know. They're coming off of a bye, which kind of sucks because this is a Wednesday game. So the whole short turnaround thing actually does apply here. Bama's going to be well rested. But what I will say, if they're rolling, it just doesn't matter. Like if Bama's rolling and they're knocking down 13, 15 threes, you're just not going to beat them. And it's kind of the product of what Nate Oates has built there. They're similar to Kentucky in terms of the way they play offensively, but they're superiorly talented. Like they've got a bunch of dudes on that roster that are going to be in the NBA and Kentucky doesn't. And that's kind of the difference between those two teams. They're not as bad as Kentucky is defensively, but they're not great necessarily on that end of the floor. And they've sleptwalked through some games. Like LSU played them really tight. I remember earlier. They've been in some closer than expected games. And they're kind of going through it too, where Nate Oates has benched Mark Sears for a half, and he's benched the Rutgers transfer center at times. And so he's still trying to, I think, demand a lot more out of those guys, especially defensively. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. But if I'm being honest, if Bama comes into Bud and plays their A game, they're probably going to beat Arkansas. So
that's definitely fair. Are they going to be rested or are they going to be rusted though?
We hope rusted. Yeah, I think we hope rusted. You don't just walk into Bud Walton Arena and shoot the lights out of the gym.
They have done it before, I feel like.
Yeah, dude. Oh, Stripiest Wig and OG, we appreciate you. Said the refs can suck it. That is all. Yeah, they were getting on my nerves. It's almost a 3-hour game, man. It's absurd. Anthony Mullally, Appreciate you. Woo pick from the Carolinas. Okay. See you down there. Says Road Warriors. Yeah. How about that? Now bring it home. That's crazy too, because like Arkansas's first road game of the year, they went to Miami, whatever. They won.
Tough to win there.
And at the time we were like, wow, okay. But then like SEC play, you start at Tennessee. They were not ready for that game. You trip over your own feet at LSU, game that you should have won. Then you go to Missouri and you're down 18-2 before you can blink. Like things were not going well for this basketball team on the road. And then all of a sudden, man, to go and beat Kentucky by double digits and win comfortably at Texas, that's pretty impressive stuff. But you're right. Now bring it home. Now it's like, okay, you've taken this show on the road. Protect your freaking house. You've lost 3 games in Bud Walton Arena this year. What are we doing? You got to protect the house, man. Doesn't matter who's coming in there. So I hope that they're fired up and ready to go. And man, get Thero some vitamins, some electrolytes, some emergency Theraflu. I don't know. Like that dude's he's gonna need to play 40 minutes in this game. So get him healthy, please. My goodness.
I do think this is the moment where this fan base has to welcome this team back with open arms. It needs to be a real appreciation and gratitude, which they should be more inclined to give, because this team has kind of shown their end of the bargain. Because every excuse that you could make early in the season about the atmosphere and why it wasn't up to par, they were all kind of valid in the moment. You're playing a bum team. The team, we don't really know these guys. We don't really know what they're all about. We're not all in yet. The weather sucks. That actually might still be applying. We'll see. Or, oh, it's just, just not the time of year. Bad time of day. It's 6 p.m. on Thursday. None of this applies on Saturday's game. It's 7:30, Bama. You're coming off of 2 awesome season-defining wins. There's no excuse. Like, it better be a crazy atmosphere there in Bud Walton Arena. And I feel like this team has earned the right to play in one of those.
Yes. Get your butts in there. Let's do this. Jordan Bean, appreciate you again. He says, everybody's aside. I'm happy for Cal. Hope y'all kill it the rest of the year. I'll be cheering for you until we play next year. Y'all are cool guys. Thank you. We appreciate that. That's and honestly, we said a million times, like we love the banter, a little trash talk, a little back and forth here and there. At the end of the day, though, that is the impression we want to leave on everybody, including opposing fan bases. And like you can't take it, don't dish it out kind of deal. And there's some who are better than others at that, but there are a lot of folks over Big Blue Nation that kind of feel, I think, this way, and that's pretty cool. So we appreciate you.
Yeah,
and then Josh Miller, thanks, man. He says the boys are having fun now. Yes. Remember a long time ago, like 3 weeks ago, we were like, oh, these guys they playing with passion. John Calipari's like, I thought there was a play where we played with some joy. I was clapping. You're like, what are we doing? Yeah. Past that, thankfully. He says, let the push for March begin. Just make it in and let the madness happen. Arkansas alum, Woo Pig Suey. Feels good to be an alum tonight, brother. Beating Texas ass. Gotta love it.
And it's just good to be in the conversation, Arkansas, we'll see where their NCAA tournament. I'm gonna have them Joe Lenardi tweets scheduled to see whenever he updates his thing. But it'll be cool to see where they land. But I'm just glad Arkansas's forced the issue and gotten in the discussion. And now you're going to be a team where you'll see the draw in March. Oh, could they beat that team? Could they beat that team? You let the imagination run wild. We couldn't even do that a week ago.
Can't wait. I cannot wait to do that. Love me some bracketology, man. Let's get into it. Okay, we made it through Super Chats. What I want to do, John gave us a heads up on a couple clips from Cal. We're going to play those, react to them real quick, and then we'll wrap with just some rapid fire chats from everybody else. That we want to make sure we represent everybody as well as we can without doing this for 4 hours on a Wednesday night. So according to John, let's see what we got here. Go run about the Texas players, and then is open. Okay, so we'll probably play those two if I can find. Okay, we'll play the one about the Texas players. I'm not sure which one is open because I can't really see it there. Whatever. Let's see what he has to say here.
Wow, this is a great building. When I walked in, I was like, what in the world? Is there seats above those things?
Yeah, they pull the screen down. There's seats up there.
And what's up there? Like bleachered seats or regular seats? Bleachered seats? Because I couldn't see under it. I thought I saw seats under there. And I was like, this place is crazy. Second thing I would tell you, I've recruited Trey since I think he was a sophomore. So I know he and his family well. and I've watched him grow. He's become more athletic, but he has a knack for getting baskets. He does. And we were planning, if he had it going, we were going to trap. Like, somebody else is beating us, not him. And we kept the game at a distance, so we didn't. So what we ended up doing is let's foul him every time down.
Yeah, well, you did that, or at least they thought you did. I hadn't really thought about him recruiting Trey that much. Like, I knew Muss recruited him pretty heavily there. I hadn't really thought about
I guess everyone did.
Yeah, I go shoot. Yeah, I mean, no kidding. So that's interesting. And then the Moody Center's, that's a fascinating place with those big it's like video boards or whatever's going on up there. I don't remember that when we were in there.
Me either. But it was not a memory that we go back to fondly and regularly.
True. Also true. I do remember the Moody Center being pretty awesome. Just as a brand new venue there. But yeah, what a unique place to play there. Looked like I saw some QR codes. I don't know if it was some NIL stuff or what they had going on there. But that was interesting. And then we're going to play this open. It's a little bit of a lengthy clip, but I do want to hear what Cal had to say about Nelly and the guys stepping up and everything like that. And then we'll wrap up with some of your chats. Get out of here.
Start, Anthony.
Yeah, obviously in the last 3 games, John Ellis really come into his own scoring wise. Just what have you seen from him just from that perspective, just kind of in that more ball dominant role?
Well, what I'm telling him and all these guys, the fight you have is if you miss 2 shots, don't act like you come out every time you make a mistake. The battle is within you, that I'm shooting another one and I'm shooting another one. If you make a bad play, you have to have the mental strength to go on to the next play. If you don't, there are no alibis. Now, what he's done, he's busted through all that. You know what was great today? He's on the court talking to Carter when Carter fouled. Like, we need this clock to run. You're fine. Just keep playing. Don't foul. Wow. DJ, the way he's playing. Wow. Adu made a few plays. He was sick as a dog. Probably shouldn't have played. But he made a couple plays. TB played. We have a full roster playing right now. Billy, how about that last block out of nowhere? Who could make that play other than him? You got to show me. So, and again, look, Texas is playing well. They have played well. They have turned it to where they were like us. Their schedule dictated their record. In this league, sometimes it's not how your team's playing. It's who you're playing. And so now they got him going. Trey's doing some great stuff, but it's not just him. Arthur's doing stuff. Guard play is good. We kind of got them. I don't think, like, we kind of, from the beginning of the game, just went after them a little bit. And after they settled in, it was anybody's game. Now, I did tell my team after, that wasn't one of my best performances down the stretch. But I told them, I was just trying to get out of the gym, folks. I wasn't trying to be fancy. I want you let's just get out of the gym. I didn't care that we were up 20 and win by, what did we win by?
8.
It could have been 2 and I'd have been fine. Just get out of the gym. And so they were great, though. I mean, Nelly's done great stuff. He's grown up. I sent them all a text that basically talked about, you have to go through failure if you're ever going to have success. You have to walk through those gates. You got to deal with failure. And that's what we were dealing with. We lost a bunch of games. Like, I was looking like, sheesh, anybody lost all 18? They said, yeah, last year, Missouri. I said, well, sheesh, they're pretty good right now. But, proud of the kids. I told the TV at halftime, I love coaching this team now. How about they struggled like that and stuck together? How about they struggled? And I had somebody ask me, you afraid they're going to let go of the rope? Were you in the room?
I was in the room. I was the one who asked.
You weren't the one that asked. I said, well, they would have let go of the rope already. And so they're fighting. They know. I still think we got a ways to go to reach where we should be. I do.
In fairness, it was worth asking if they were about to let go of the rope.
Very valid question for a 1-6 team that had its best player or whatever. Like, it was very valid.
Yeah, good for them, man. Good for Cal. That was some, I thought, some good stuff right there from him. And man, it's just a good night. Good night for the pig, man. Let's do some rapid fire.
Yeah,
we'll get out of here. I'm gonna read through some of them, react quick, and if there's something you want to pop on, just interrupt me. Just
okay.
Do that.
That's usually how I approach it. I usually just start screaming until you stop. That's my goal.
Otherwise, we're gonna cook here. Logan says, "How are you just called for a foul, Curtis?"
It's true.
And then Chip says they just called another foul as the teams were headed to the locker room. You think people were a little frustrated by the ref show there in the second half? That was nuts, man. That was crazy. Come on.
What you got on the road?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. I like this. Davis has officially reclaimed the Nelly nickname.
No longer John L, eh?
No longer John L. Yeah. This is funny from Trey Langston. He said Tremont Mark was loyal to the Hogs tonight.
He looked a little out of whack. I got to be honest.
He did.
Like, he just looked a little like, I don't know, not there.
He's always emotionless.
Yeah.
Kind of like a very cerebral kind of guy, stoic personality or whatever. But yeah, it was not his best. Okay, I know you're going to want to talk about this one for a sec. John Patton, he says, I know people don't like to hear this, and he's a great player, but this team is better without Boogie. They're 3-1 now without Boogie. Two of their biggest wins of the season here without Boogie. Well, honestly, three of their biggest wins of the season without Boogie. It's looking really, really good. Now, was this a team that was going to wind up clicking anyway? I don't know, but it's hard to ignore how much better they've been defensively and just the way that thing is moving, man. Everybody's kind of sharing. Everybody eats. There's something to be said for that. And you're right. Like, Boogie is a great player. And yes, I wish he was still active and out there and on the team, but it's hard to ignore that these guys look different with the group they have constructed right now.
It's it's inarguable. Arkansas is playing their best basketball of the season. They are playing better, and they are doing it without Boogie Flan. Now, where we can argue and dissent is it cause and effect, or is it, because causation or correlation doesn't always equal causation. I think that definitely guys have stepped up and really claimed their roles and done a great job doing that. Part of that happened because Boogie was out of the lineup, but I think it's not one of those things where Arkansas couldn't have played good basketball with Billy or with Boogie, I should say. Yeah. And so who knows? And I know some people are already asking, hey, what if you can get him back from the tournament? We actually even kind of talked about that a little bit. I think that that's just a conversation. Like, and we even said this in the moment, like, him leaving the lineup changes everything. It's not even a good versus bad. Just everything with this team changed. And when you're 0-5 or whatever Arkansas was at the time, you needed to make changes anyway. And so there were going to be changes. And so it's like, I don't know if Boogie necessarily is the only change that has happened, but listen, you're talking to the guy who coined the phrase.
This is true. Yeah, you were on it, man. You were out ahead of it. And like you said, like John said, it's not a knock or anything like that on Boogie. It's just sometimes it's the way things work out, man.
It kind of happened with Nick Smith Jr.
It did. Yeah.
Who's playing great basketball in the NBA right now.
Yeah, shout out to him. That's good stuff, man. Zach Religious says Theo is an absolute monster. Good on him for that performance while battling an illness. All Hog. Yeah, that was crazy because he came out after like 2 minutes. He was out for a long stretch in the first half. Then he came back in for 2 minutes, went out again. And I was immediately like, okay, he's not in foul trouble. He's hurt or sick or something. And finally the broadcast cleared it up and said he was under the weather. But really wound up gutting it out. He played most of the second half. But yeah, 14 points, 6 of 12 from the free throw line. I'm going to give him the pass because he was under the weather. But there was that stretch there at the end of the first half where it was just every play, man. He's going to the rack and get to the free throw line.
He shot so well the other day from the line.
Yeah, he did. So, like, you want to see that get back up there or whatever. But yeah, 14 and 5. I thought he did a real good job defensively on Kaluma when he was on him. And had the big dunk there late in the game. They needed it. Kind of like it was a little bit of like a double pump, man. Like the hand was coming trying to block it, and he just kind of just adjusted in the air and slammed that thing home. It was pretty impressive stuff. And
he had some good dunks.
He had some good dunks, yeah. I mean,
Arkansas blocked a couple that one of them Z got called for, but they had a nice block on the dunk. But
late in the game, that one that they called on Z was crazy.
Did Nelly have he had one of his first dunks of the year, one of his only dunks of the year.
Yeah. Was he got in transition, didn't kick it out of bounds.
Yeah, Theo had one. I feel like there was another dunk.
Z just dropped the shoulder on the elbow there and dunked it, and then he hit the three the next possession. Yeah. Z also shot faked a three from the corner and did like the world's slowest little mini Euro into the runner.
You don't see the Euro into an 18-footer, basically. You don't see that much.
Oh, man. He just makes me happy. He really does. Okay. All right. Moving on. Seth says low-key felt bad for Mark. Don't. Big Donnelly says Nelly looks like a 35-year-old uncle, drunk as hell, sweating and out of breath, but balling.
Nelly Davis does have very much uncle energy for sure.
He does. He's a big sweater too. And that's some of the times when he's kind of throwing the ball all over the place, you immediately see him like wiping his shorts, wiping his jersey, getting a towel from the bench. The dude sweats.
Big
heavy.
Sweater.
Big sweater energy. Oh, Brennan Fusco says overreaction. I think Arkansas season would have been over if they blew that 21-point lead. This would have been a much different post-game show had they blown that lead, man.
I guess we'll never know. But no, yeah, that definitely would have been something. But I will say, it's not like they were really that close to doing that. I'm being honest with you. Yeah. Like Cal said, just get out of the building. That was clearly the mindset. They were fighting the clock more than they were fighting Texas.
Yes.
So it wasn't pretty, but I didn't feel like they were really on the cusp of it.
I didn't either. Yeah, they did a good enough job for the first 25-ish minutes of that game to avoid anything crazy there. So good on them. And they held it off.
If you added 5 more minutes, they knew exactly how much time they had. Like that's the benefit of coaching a game with a scoreboard is you can see the clock. You know how much.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. SCT says DJ Wagner's an absolute dog. Yeah, he deserves a lot of credit. He's just sometimes I feel like we don't talk about DJ enough because he just goes about his business. He works his butt off defensively, kind of scores when he needs to score, takes care of the ball. He had 3 turnovers in this game, but he does a good job of just he's just the floor general out there, man. He gets everybody where they need to be. And, he's been really solid for Arkansas. And he's like 4 of 13 in this game, so he wasn't overly efficient or anything, but I thought he was overall definitely a positive for Arkansas in this one. Hayden gave a shout out to Moody. Yeah, I mean, it looks awesome. I think it looks really cool. The atmosphere apparently was not great in there, but it's an interesting place. Yeah, Sharkansas was there. He says, "What's up, guys? Walking out of the Moody right now to a bunch of hog calls and sad Texas fans. You love to hear the hog call loud and clear multiple times over the broadcast in a road environment. That was awesome.
Yeah,
it hurt a lot, man.
Arkansas has been walking into traps and taking over traps a lot here lately.
That's that's exactly right. G Cox, we do have a Kentucky fan. He says our defense sucks. This is true, but we'll get it figured out and be ready to go come tourney time. We'll see. As long as we get our guards back. Said either way, keep winning, Arkansas. We don't hate you. Well, thank you. We'll sleep. I don't believe tonight. You, but we'll sleep better tonight under that assumption. Hunter McLaren says, let's talk about the emergence of Billy and Knox, who are now accepting their roles and not forcing things offensively. It's opened up the offense. Love it. I know we've talked about them quite a bit, but was really impressed. Billy, he got 4 fouls in 9 minutes. He was one of the guys who was getting hit with some ticky-tack stuff that was a little bit annoying, but he really got after it, and it was good to see him go 4 of 4 at the free throw line. That's not really necessarily been his thing. And I thought he was real solid in this game, and Carter just continues to kind of grow up and get more and more comfortable out there. I used to worry about him when he touched the ball, and I don't feel that way now.
I'm almost to the point where I'm like, hey, I wish Carter would be a little bit more assertive. Like he's become very good shot selection wise, but it's to the point where I'm kind of like, hey, maybe let it fly from 3 a couple more times.
Yeah, no doubt. Tristan, my buddy here, okay, he says, Curtis, have you ever seen so biased and blatantly one-sided officiating in one half? It's the first for me in 22 years of playing and watching basketball. Tristan, what I'll say is I saw it when my teams used to go to where you played at Crowley's Ridge. That shit would happen to us down there in Paragould. All right, that's the last place I saw it. If you want to know the truth here, I'm only slightly kidding, but no, it was crazy,
Didn't
man.
realize he touched a chord here. Wow.
No. It turns out that had we have been a little bit closer, I guess, in age, I probably would have at the very least coached against him, which would have been pretty interesting. But all jokes aside, the second half was crazy, man. But you knew it was coming, and I've kind of been waiting on a game this season where we could really talk about the refs and not have other things that like Arkansas's gotten their butts kicked before and be like, yeah, but the refs aren't great. But this one it did seem pretty agenda based, but Arkansas overcame it. So good on them. Yeah, Nelly and DJ handled the press amazingly. That was good to see for sure. Big Salty Hog wants to know if we're going to the Final Four. Let's, we'll pump the brakes a little bit, but yes, they are. Jay Farrell says, I like this when I started this one. He says, as a Kentucky fan, I'll tell you 3 things you guys do better than just about anyone: rebound, play defense. I'll give you that one. And get 50-50 balls, the things that Kentucky sucks at. They have been better on the boards. They still lost on the glass today.
They won the first half, and then the second half, there was a little stretch there where Texas started gnawing their way back.
Only 3 offensive rebounds. A lot of that was Thero being sick, and then gave up 13. But they've been better than they were early in SEC play for sure. John Hamm doesn't mind Carter with the ball in his hands in high pressure situations. He did good in this one, and he's got that frame on him, so he can get bumped off his spots a little bit and be okay. Just a handful more. Bo Barnes says, "Don't storm the court against Bama. We should expect to win."
Now storm it. Storm it. We are the devil on your shoulder. That's giving you the actual advice that you need.
Sam says we're gonna get our lick back with LSU. They better.
They're gonna get a few licks back.
Yeah. My goodness, man. Let's see. Oh yeah. Tim says Nelly was hurt, need to get his confidence back. He's getting the same open looks, but now he's hitting them. To a degree, I'm with you. But it's his role, really. Like I was buying the wrist thing, but for a while there, like at the end of non-conference play, he was shooting almost 40% from 3. He was just shooting 5.5 shots a game, and was just really stuck in the corner. He looks like a completely different player now. Maybe that wrist is feeling better, and so he's more confident putting it on the deck and everything, and getting in the paint and mixing it up a little bit. That could be part of it. I do think another large part of it is just Boogie's out. His roles change. He's slide up to being a secondary playmaker, secondary ball handler, and he's really getting comfortable doing it. It's good to see, man. Really good to see. Johnny says, thanks for pulling us over the finish line, Curtis. Wasn't me. Wasn't me. Scalisk says, Glenn Powell's character in Twisters is based off Zachary Hall. That is awesome, if true. And, is Glenn Powell the one that was having an affair with Sydney Sweeney?
I think it was a fake affair, but yes, he did do a rom-com with her.
Okay.
Have you seen Twisters?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen the
one?
the OG. I don't know if I've seen the new one actually.
Well, the new one is basically about Arkansas storm chasers. Like Glenn Powell's character is like from Arkansas.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so being dead serious, like Zachary Hall, people like Zachary Hall, like are in the movie. Like there's a lot of people that are chasing the storms. They're all got their different outlet. It's pretty good.
Love that. All right. Cody Pritchard, thank you. He says, you guys are both exhibiting uninhibited elegance tonight.
Rufus
doing our best.
What's it called when you like they used to say this on How I Met Your Mother, like re-referencing the joke. I can't remember what it's called. I'm delirious now, but
I don't know, but it was good. That's good work right there. That's an elegant use of the super chat function there. You did well. And our man Tim, maybe we need to have this conversation. He says, how long before Thero breaks a backboard? The dude dunks with authority, and he's a big, strong fella, so it wouldn't be crazy.
I think he could break a rim for sure.
I think he could do that. Yeah.
The backboards are sturdy these days. Ever since Shaq, I think Shaq affected the backboard industry. But I think he could alter a rim for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I lost it. I thought I started, but I didn't. But I did want to bring it up real quick. Somebody said, "Did you notice the Moody Center channeling Simmons Bank Arena with the light issues there early in the game?"
I forgot about that.
That was crazy.
It took them like 3 seconds to blow a whistle. They were like kind of going to let it play out if it fixed itself immediately, and then when it kept going, they're like, "All right, let's go ahead and blow the whistle."
Yeah, Yeah.
I think it was Kaluma had the ball and he's like, let me go. I got the look I need.
Right. Yeah. It took them 10 seconds to figure it out. It took Simmons Bank 35 minutes to figure it out, to the point where Muss was like, it's dark. I don't care. The ball's orange. Let's play. Like, let's go. Whatever. Okay. We're done here, man. Final thoughts on what was, just a great night. And honestly, a huge win for Arkansas. I'm anxious to see what kind of bump they get from this, but certainly a lot of momentum and trending in the right direction.
I like the direction. I like this team. I think they're really starting. I hate to be dramatic here, but they're starting to come together. And I feel like, will they reach the heights that maybe we forecast for them preseason? Who knows? But I think we can all agree that this is a team that's worth investing in at this point. There's something brewing here. What's it going to end up being? Will it end in the NCAA tournament? Will it win into the second round? I don't know, but I think we're all a lot more interested in this story than we were literally 7 days ago. It was hard to find stuff to be excited about, but I think we're all going to be really fired up Saturday when that game rolls around. And it's just good to be in this spot where you feel like you have something to play for, because we definitely questioned if this team was going to be in that type of situation. And so tonight's game is just confirmation we got something to play for.
That's right. Yeah. And it's that feels good, man, because we got to a point about this time last year where we realized that just wasn't going to happen. And that was tough. We got one more super chat that snuck in here. Anthony's back at it. We appreciate you. He said last time the Hogs were here, there was more, and he's in the Carolinas, is what he told us earlier. There were more Hog fans in Littlejohn, even though we lost to Clemson.
That was the Bobby Portis team, I believe.
Wow. Yeah. He said, I'm just in hog heaven right now. And I tell you what, as frustrating as this team has been, and, and the fan base has taken a while to warm up to this group, and fair enough. Like we said, man, the one way to do it, you go win at Kentucky and you go win at Texas. That's a good way to get the Razorback faithful fully in your corner. And I think that they're gonna reap the benefits of that on Saturday. I cannot wait to get to Bud Walton and get to that one, but we'll continue to have a little bit of fun with this one over the course of the next couple of days. But we're going to get out of here. Really do, man. Appreciate everybody for hopping on with us, rocking with us. These post-game shows are a ton of fun after wins. We like them anytime, but after wins, they're a blast. And for everybody who's hopping in here watching from afar, thank you. Chatting, engaging, we appreciate it. The super chats, my goodness. You guys are crazy, but in the best way. We love you. We're out of here. It's been Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas, and the Pod at the Palace. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next time.